right, members and members and persons in the gallery, if you could listen to me very closely. Governor Dewhurst, at the beginning of the session today, as we do many times, read the rules with regard to the decorum required in the Senate. This is a very serious issue. This is a very serious debate. You're here to observe, and the members cannot accurately debate with disruptions in the chamber. So there will be strict enforcement with regard to disruptions in the chamber so that the Senate can debate this important issue.
Mr. President.
If there is another outburst, as we observed earlier, then we will request that the gallery be cleared.
President. Mr. President.
For what purpose?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, as noted by my absence earlier, I was not here during the conversations and the discussions on the process that would be used should we get to this point during the filibuster. I would request that the President inform me so that I may be able to make a decision about what the process was, what did I miss before I arrived here, so that I may be able to cast a vote.
Senator, the process is the process for a filibuster stated in the rules. And as we have gone through the day, there have been certain rulings and on different points of order or motions made during the day, and there is no process in place other than the rules.
Mr. President, parliamentary inquiry. Since I was not able to be here on the floor, since I was at my father's funeral, I ask that you please let me know what were the 3 motions or what were the 3 points of order so that I may understand. I was not here, and I do not know, and I was not looking online because I was at my father's funeral. Would the chair please advise me of the 3 instances of the points of order so that I may understand, even in the most basic way, the debate about to begin?
So real. In Texas. Oh my God. So real in Texas.
All right, Senator, in the beginning of the session today, there were 3, during the filibuster, there were 3 points of order that were raised. One was on germaneness, and that was sustained. The other one was on aid by a member involving Senator Ellis and Senator Davis. That one was sustained. The last one, as you were here, was on germaneness, and that was sustained by the chair. The issue before the body at this time is an appeal of the motion for the chair, and that's why I'm in the chair right now.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, since I was not here, I understand there were 2 points of order. Would the chair please advise me of the first point of order? I know the subject matter, but who called the point of order?
Nichols. Senator Van de Putte, Senator Nichols called the first point of order on germaneness.
And that, Mr. President, was sustained.
That was sustained.
And the second point of order, parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President, the second point of order was called by which senator? And I am sorry, I was not here.
I believe Senator Williams called the point of order on aiding a member of the Senate during a filibuster.
And was parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President, was the second point of order also one that was called on germaneness?
No, it was called on, I believe, Senate Rule 403 with regard to aiding a member, and Senate Rule 401, I believe.
Parliamentary inquiry. Mr. President, that second point of order that was called by Senator Williams on assisting a senator during a filibuster, and that was sustained?
That was sustained by a vote of the body.
It was sustained by not the decision of the chair?
The chair left the vote to the body.
Thank you,
Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Senator Estes, for what purpose?
I move to,
Mr. President, parliamentary inquiry. I know what I want to say.
I move to take,
Senator Whitmire, for what purpose?
Before we get to the issue of challenging the decision of the chair, could we get some clarification on how the decision was made in terms of the guidelines and the actual commitment made earlier tonight to the members? It was decided early on the first point order on germaneness to submit it to the body, which was carried out. The second point order, Senator Ellis's issue of assisting Senator Davis, was submitted to the body. I have heard repeatedly tonight that those points of orders will be submitted to this body. Most of us were standing at ease waiting for the transcript so it could be decided whether to even submit it to the body. How in the world was the change made? What rule, what tradition went into just a ruling? Because when I asked my questions earlier night, we were doing our darn best to give Senator Davis some guidelines and some guidance not to violate a germaneness issue, which I don't believe she has. But instead of submitting that to the body, as we have twice before tonight, knowing that the third violation would be submitting the issue of whether we end the filibuster or not, what in the world happened that a decision was made arbitrarily without submitting it to the body, while I would guess most of us were standing here waiting for that submission
Senator
or determination or whether even to submit it?
Senator Whitmire, the first point of order on germaneness was not submitted to the body. It was the decision of the Lieutenant Governor. It was not appealed. The second point of order was submitted to the body and sustained by the body. The third point of order was made by the Lieutenant Governor, and the ruling and the rule that would apply is found in, and I'll just read it to you here. Raising of a third,
whether to submit it or whether to rule.
Let me read this to you. Raising of a third point of order against further debate by a senator on the floor who has digressed for a third time from a discussion of the pending amendment after having been twice requested to confine his debate to the amendment justifies the presiding officer in calling for a vote by the Senate on the question of whether or not he shall be permitted to resume and continue his remarks. And that was the ruling of the chair, or would be the ruling of the chair following the appeal on this point of order.
Why would it not be submitted to the body?
The point of order is being submitted to the body pursuant to the appeal and the motion to appeal that is on the floor by Senator Watson.
Mr. President.
Mr. President, I have the floor. Mr. President, do I have
I have the floor, and I guess I'm
Mr. President, he does not have the floor. Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President. I have the floor, and I've not yielded the floor.
Parliamentary inquiry.
Senator Estes was recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to table Senator Watson's motion.
I thought a parliamentary inquiry goes before any other motion. That's a privileged motion. Are we changing that rule?
Senator West will be recognized. Hold on. Members, at this point, I had earlier recognized Senator Estes, Senator Estes made a motion to table. That is the motion now on the floor. Now, Senator West, you're recognized with your parliamentary inquiry.
Mr. President,
Yes.
did
For what
not
purpose?
you recognize Senator Watson first? And,
Do you yield to Senator Watson?
well, I'm asking parliamentary inquiry. The first person if someone's already recognized, does that person get to go before someone else unless there's a privilege to a motion ahead of that?
Senator Estes was recognized for a motion and made a motion to table.
Well, Senator Watson was recognized for motion to appeal. I mean, that's what I recall. And he had the floor. He made the motion. And he yielded, I believe, to Whitmire. I think if you go back and look at the transcript, Senator Watson had the floor. He was recognized. And can we go back and obviously this is a critical juncture. And I'd ask you to at least go back and look at the transcript to see exactly the sequence of events. That's only going to take a few minutes.
Senator West, hear me out.
Yes, sir.
Senator Watson made a motion to table.
No.
I mean to appeal the ruling of the chair.
Right.
Senator Estes was recognized and made a motion to table. Senator Whitmire made a parliamentary inquiry. You made a parliamentary inquiry. That's where we are at this point in time. You have a parliamentary inquiry before the chair.
Yes, I do.
State your inquiry.
Again, if you look at the sequence of events, Senator Watson made the motion to appeal. Senator Whitmire then made a motion, did a parliamentary inquiry. Right. And then you recognize Senator Estes, and he made a motion to table. But the reality,
I had started to debate.
Let me finish. But Senator Watson had the floor.
The only reason the floor was given up was parliamentary.
Senator, you're not hold on a minute, Senator Watson.